The second quarter was a house of horrors for the Florida State Seminoles. Georgia first scored with 4:05 to go in the first quarter to make the game 7-0. They scored again in the second quarter at the 14:57, 12:34, 10:38, 10:18, 3:39, and 24-second marks. Yes, that was 5 second-quarter touchdowns to make it 42-0. At the half, they added another 21 points for good measure in the second half of the game. The only points for Florida State came with 12:34 to go in the second quarter when they made a 14-0 game 14-3. Ooh. I mean, the numbers don't matter. Carson Beck had a couple of touchdowns. Gunnar Stockton threw for a couple of touchdowns. They had a bunch of rushing touchdowns.
Brutal.
It was
everything
the mismatch
you knew it was
of
going
all
to be.
mismatches.
Yeah.
But to Georgia's credit, Georgia also was stung. They also were hurt. They lost the last time they were on the field, and it cost them a chance at a national championship. And I don't know if any of us are convinced that Georgia's not the best team in the country. They didn't win the game, so they don't get the opportunity to claim that this year.
Right.
But that is an immensely talented Georgia team that for much of the season looked like the best team in the country. And given the opportunity to be part of the 4-team playoff, could very well have won another national championship. They didn't. But Kirby Smart, he had some opt-outs, nothing like what Florida State dealt with. But he got his team locked in. He got them engaged. They played smart. They played hard. They played a ton of guys, and everybody they ran out there had success. I mean, all of the conversation in this is about Florida State, but I feel like Georgia deserves a little credit as well. And by the way, the score was not dissimilar to the one that they hung when they played for a national championship last year.
Yes.
They won this one by 60. They won that one by, 58? Did I do the math right? 65-7?
You did.
Kirby Smart, by the way, had some really interesting things to say after this game.
He did.
And here's a little bit of it right now. This is Kirby postgame after he beats Florida State by 60.
People need to see what happened tonight, and they need to fix this. It needs to be fixed. It's very unfortunate that they, who has a good football team and a good football program, are in the position they're in. And everybody can say it's their fault and it's their own problem, all right? And everybody can say that we had our guys and they didn't have their guys. I can listen to all that. But college football has got to decide what they want. And I know things are changing, and I think things are going to change next year. And you know what? There's going to still be bowl games outside of those. People got to decide what they want and what they really want to get out of it, because it's really unfortunate for those kids on that sideline that had to play in that game that didn't have their full arsenal. And it affected the game 100%.
He's not wrong.
No.
The calendar needs to change. And I don't know if it fixes all of the opt-outs.
It's so easy to say the calendar needs to change, but if you're going to say that, and this is not a shot at you, Borky, because I've heard this a million times, the calendar needs to change, you also have to come up with a solution for what the calendar should look like. And there's a finite amount of time between when the semester ends and when the new semester begins where if guys are going to transfer, they got to have time to figure out where they're going.
Starting right now.
Yeah, but in some places, classes start next week.
Okay.
I mean, is that fair to people that are making a decision this big?
Then don't leave. And there's another window after the semester. There's two windows. This isn't the only window. There's a post-spring window as well. Far less impactful if you can spread the post-spring window out months. I mean, you can start it in March and let it go into June if you want to, because there's no games that you're impacting. There's no season that you're involved in.
So are you going to allow players to be recruited throughout the spring?
If they hit the portal, sure.
Is it simpler to say you can hit the portal, but you have to stay with your team? I don't know how you make them do that, but it's stay with you. You can be in the portal, you can be recruited, you can take figure out visits on the schedule. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how, but that seems like the easier way to say you can join. You can get in the portal, but just stay with your team. Play your last game.
There's 15 practices in the spring. That's all there is. Let that be your big free agency window, where you let it be wide open like it is right now. I couldn't fathom any other
don't you
sport.
think the coaches that hate the idea of this craziness in December would also push back against the idea of not having their new players coming through the transfer portal on their campus and in their program during their spring?
Then you get paid millions of dollars to figure. I mean, then what do you want, coaches? What do you want? Because you're not going to restrict movement until they have contracts. So they're going to be able to move. You have to let them move because the courts say you have to let them move. So,
and I guess that's the problem that I have. Like, I don't disagree necessarily with what Kirby Smart said, but what he said is they've got to fix this. Well, who is they? One, and give me a solution. You're in it every single day. So you should have an idea for what would be a more tenable situation than the last month that we've dealt with. But right now, I mean, the reason that this is happening willy-nilly, well, it's twofold. One, there is zero planning from the NCAA. They allowed NIL and unlimited and transfer portal stuff to happen all at the same time with no regulations on how it should work. So that's number one. And number two, anytime the NCAA for the last 2 years has said to a student athlete, nope, you can't do this, the courts have said, yes, you can. And so I'm all ears for ideas on how we make it better. But when a coach just throws up his hands and he's like, they gotta fix this. Okay. Again, who is they? And give me some constructive ideas instead of just, this is broken, somebody needs to fix it. We'll be back. Sports Talk.